The city of Karen burned beneath a sky torn open by alien fire, its towers shattered and its streets choked with smoke and drifting ash. For 3 endless cycles the Coalition defenders had fought a losing battle against the invading Varrics Dominion, a force so vast and advanced that resistance had become an act of desperation rather than strategy. Energy shields failed, one by one, artillery batteries fell silent, and the last civilian transports vanished into orbit carrying only a fraction of those who had hoped to escape. Captain Eliara Voss stood atop the command bastion watching the horizon glow red, knowing the line would break before the next assault. Her soldiers were exhausted, wounded, and running out of power cells. Yet they held their positions because surrender meant extinction. Across the comm channels came fragmented reports of breaches, fallen sectors, and commanders killed in action, each message stripping away another layer of hope. The Coalition Council had promised reinforcements, but the stars remained empty, and every fleet they had once trusted was either destroyed or too far away to matter. Rumors spread quietly through the ranks about a forgotten species, exiled centuries ago for crimes no one remembered clearly. Humans, most dismissed the stories as myths meant to comfort the dying, tales of warriors too violent for the Galactic order. As the Varrics war engines assembled for the final push, Elira issued her last orders, instructing her troops to hold as long as they could, and then fall back to protect the evacuation tunnels. She did not expect victory, only that their sacrifice would be remembered. Above them, the sky darkened as enemy carriers descended, blotting out the stars. Just as the first bombardment cannons began to glow, every sensor in the city screamed in unison, detecting warp signatures tearing open space itself. No one dared to believe it yet, but something was coming. Something no one had planned for. The WARP tears multiplied rapidly, jagged scars of light ripping across the upper atmosphere. Varrics commanders hesitated for the first time since the invasion began, their formations stalling as unknown vessels emerged from the distortions. They were not sleek like Dominion ships, nor elegant like Coalition craft, but massive, angular, and scarred, built for survival rather than beauty. Ancient transponders activated, broadcasting a signal that had not been heard in centuries. The word human echoed through command channels, carried with disbelief and fear. Elira stared at the tactical display as new icons filled the sky, each one larger than anything the Dominion had deployed planetside. A single transmission cut through the chaos, calm and unmistakably confident, announcing that the battlefield was now under human jurisdiction. Coalition soldiers froze in their trenches, unsure whether salvation or annihilation had arrived. Legends resurfaced in broken whispers of a species banished beyond known space. After refusing to obey galactic law, they had been called monsters, warmongers, uncontrollable, and yet no one had ever truly defeated them. Varrics carriers opened fire without warning, unleashing volleys that would have erased entire cities. The human ships did not evade. Instead, their armor flared as layered defenses absorbed the assault and returned fire with terrifying precision. Beams of kinetic force punched through Dominion hulls, detonating them in silence before debris rained harmlessly into the upper atmosphere within moments. The sky that had symbolized defeat now blazed with falling enemy wreckage, for the first time since the war began. The Varrics were on the defensive. Drop pods followed, streaking through the clouds like meteors guided by purpose. They slammed into the battlefield beyond Coalition lines, doors exploding outward as armored figures emerged. Human soldiers moved with brutal efficiency, their weapons loud and unmistakably physical in a war dominated by energy fire. They advanced through Varrics formations, as if they had trained for this moment all their lives, adapting instantly to terrain and enemy tactics. Elira received a direct ground channel request, the human commander introducing himself simply and requesting coordination. There was no arrogance in his voice, only resolve. Coalition units were instructed to advance behind the human push, reclaiming territory thought lost only hours earlier. Side by side, old enemies and desperate allies fought together. Human medics dragged wounded Coalition soldiers to safety without hesitation, using equipment no one else recognized. Captured Varrics units attempted surrender. Stories spread rapidly across the front lines of humans holding positions alone against overwhelming numbers. Laughing in the face of impossible odds, Elira watched from a reclaimed tower as the tide turned completely. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe they might survive. The humans had not come as conquerors, but as something far more dangerous to their enemies. Allies. As the battle neared its end, Elira finally met the human commander face to face amid the ruins. He was older than she expected, his armor worn and marked by symbols of battles fought far beyond this world. He explained that humanity had watched the galaxy burn from exile, waiting until the same powers that cast them out faced extinction. They had not forgotten the betrayal, nor the fear that led to it, but they had chosen to return not for revenge alone. Systems, simultaneously, a campaign planned in secret for decades. The Coalition Council would soon realize that survival came with consequences. Humanity would no longer remain hidden or silent. They would demand a seat in the galaxy they had helped save, and this time, they would not accept exile. Elira understood then that hope had not arrived freely. It had arrived with terms. Yet, as she looked across the battlefield, at civilians emerging from shelters and soldiers embracing in disbelief, she knew the cost was worth paying. The Verix Dominion was broken here, but the galaxy itself had changed forever. Asterisks in the aftermath. Karen began to rebuild under a sky once again filled with stars rather than fire. Human ships remained in orbit, not as occupiers, but as guardians. Across the galaxy, news spread of the day humanity returned, not as a myth, but as a force that rewrote the future. Old political structures crumbled as species reconsidered what strength truly meant. The Coalition Council issued formal apologies that humanity acknowledged without forgiveness or hostility. Only clarity. Elia was offered a role as liaison, a bridge between worlds that once feared each other. She accepted, knowing that the path ahead would be difficult and uncertain, yet every time she remembered the moment when all hope was lost and human soldiers landed, she felt something stronger than fear. She felt certainty. The galaxy had tried to erase humanity once, and failed. Now, with their return, nothing would ever be the same again.